Hi all, if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If you are new, welcome. My name is Amira and my channel is all about trying new makeup, talking about new makeup, but also finding new and exciting ways to be inspired by the makeup you already own. If that sounds good to you, I hope you consider subscribing, and if you enjoyed today's video, hitting the like button. Today guys, we are going to be playing with something that when I saw the sneaky peeky for it, I knew I was going to purchase it. Like, it was just like a no-brainer. I knew I was going to review it, and I was very excited when it arrived on my doorstep last night when I got home from work. I'm so excited. Let me open it up so you can see the actual packaging. So this was like sneak peek slash faux leaked. I think last week or week before last, this new Natasha Denona Yucca palette. And when I saw the coloring of the packaging, I was like, Natasha's coming from my wallet. I just knew. I knew in my being, deep in my being, that I was going to love this palette. I'm like, I think this is going to be a palette for me. And I was right, because look how stunning this color story is. Now, this color story for me is sort of like the updated 2023 version of the gold palette. I do plan on doing just a couple of comparisons with that palette, just so you guys can see what they look like side by side. The gold palette was and is probably, I haven't done my Natasha Denona ranking in a while, but it was like second in my ranking for my favorite Natasha Denona palettes that I owned. I love the gold palette, and Martina Lily recently did a review of it because it was out of stock, and then for a really long time, and we thought it had been discontinued, and then it came back into stock, and she was able to get her hands on it, and she did a review of it, and it just inspired me to break that palette out and wear it. And then literally the next day, this palette was revealed, and I just was like, I see where you're going, Natasha, and I'm here for it. So yeah, so we have this palette in our hands. It is 8 o'clock at night. I was at work, came home, took a little nap, took a little heat nap because it is very hot. I turned my air off for this. So if I get progressively shinier, it's because I am sitting in non-air conditioned room for you guys. This is how committed I am, okay? So yes, I redid all my makeup, threw on some lipstick, slapdash some primer on, and we are going to do a look with this palette. Let's get into it. Okay, I have zoomed you guys in as far as I can zoom you, and I don't know what I'm doing with this palette. I looked at it last night when it came, and it was like super. You guys should get used to that, because on my street, once it hits 70, the motorcyclists just lose their minds. But yeah, this came late yesterday when I got home at I got home at 8 o'clock at night. And I was just like, I don't have time to play with this, but I really want to play with this. So I knew after work today, I was going to sit down and play with it, but I didn't really think about a look, I didn't think about what I wanted to do with it. So let's see here. I think it's only smart of me to go in with one of these yellow shades. I really love the shade Acacia. I really love the shade Citrine. We have Tipu. Valley is it reminds me very much of some of the shades in the gold palette, the neutral shades. So I think we're going to start off with, let's start off with Acacia, this shade here. I am going in, I'm going in. I'm just putting this in my crease. That is really pretty. It's just these are my type of tones, It's what I love about the gold palette. It's what I love about the Metropolis palette, which I think this palette actually does take inspiration from just as much as the gold palette in a lot of ways, because when you look at the Metropolis palette and you look at some of the tones on the left hand side of that palette, the greens, they all have a bit of dirt thrown on them, you know? Okay, so I have applied that. I have applied that in my crease. This color is so pretty. It's so pretty. I think I want to go in. I think I want to go in with this shade. But I think I want to take a smaller brush. And I'm going to apply that. And this feels like one of her cream to powder shades. And I'm just going to apply that in the inner part of my eye here, my lid. That's really pretty. Do I want to do a halo eye? I'm gonna go back in with the Cassia and just add that in just to make sure that these are married nicely with each other. Okay, so this palette has some really amazing metallics that I haven't seen this type of formula from Natasha in her metallics. Like I really like her metallics. I think they're good. They're not like my absolute faves, but I think they're really good. But these have such I mean, look at these. They have such dimension and texture to them. How stunning are these? And I just want to put them on my eye, and I'm thinking, I thought I was gonna want to use, let's see here. I mean, ignore that. That's when I was trying to figure out what lipstick to wear. Those are so pretty. And look at the kind of like slight shift on this one. The shift of like gold to orange base it has. I think, I kind of want to use both of these. So let's grab a brush. And I'm going to use a rougher 21 for this because it's begging to be used. So I'm gonna grab the shade Makia, and I'm gonna wet my brush because I just know this is gonna get all over the place. Yep, and I've already had some fallout. Like, oh, and there it is. There it is. Oh, this is so stunning. How stunning is that? Wow, that shade. That is so pretty. I'm gonna do it with the other eye. Okay, so I'm back and I've done both eyes, and guys, these metallics. Okay, Natasha. Okay. I was not expecting this from this palette, I have to say. I was not expecting this kind of like dimension. You know, I just feel like I wasn't expecting this. I think it's stunning. And yeah, so we're gonna go back in with another shade. Am I gonna use Elysian or Komorebi? I think that's how you say that. I don't know. What do we think? I think I'm gonna go with this one because I like the fact that it's kind of cool toned. I think it'll be a nice contrast to the shade I just used. Wetting my brush again. And I'm applying that to the outer part of my lid. Oh wow, that's stunning. This is I do have a little bit of fallout. Again, I'm not surprised by that because of the texture of these. So I say if you're just trying to completely avoid fallout, use some glitter glue. But I am so happy with how that looks. I'm going to go back in with Califia, and I just want to like deepen this and just give it a bit more dimension above that shade. So I'm just going back in, dipping into that shade. And then I'm going to go in with a slightly smaller brush again into Acacia and just define that area a little bit more. This is so pretty, guys. I'm high-key shocked at how much I like this. I'm going to do my lower lash line. I think for my lower lash line, I want to use some of these orange tones. These orange tones here, like this one and this one. I think I want to use those. And this one is very interesting. I think this is a cream to powder. Yeah, it is. So Fushi, I think it's what it's called, is a cream to powder. And Ishia is just a traditional matte. So I think we're gonna go in with Ishia on the outer part, and then we'll go in with Fushi in the inner corner. Super pretty. I love that. And I think since I used that, I think I'm going to use the shade Plantasia, which is this one here. And this is the one that kind of flips gold and orange. So I think I'm going to put that somewhere on my lower lash line, like between the two or over them. I don't know. We'll see. Let's just play and see what happens. Spray my brush because, yeah. That is stunning. Wow. I really like that. Like, really like that. Okay, so for the final shade, I think I'm going to use Ray, which is sort of like the more traditional gold, and I think I'm gonna put that in my inner corner. And I've used the same brush to do all of these. This is my Sonia G Pencil Pro. I love this for when I'm just trying to like slightly smoke out the lower lash line. All right, so this is the finished look. I feel like I could probably define it more, but it's good enough, you know? It's good enough to play with it and see with how the shades are working. Yeah, so I'm gonna put some eye pencil. I think I'm gonna use, I bought a couple of pencils over. I bought for my Too Faced Killer Camo and Too Faced Total Control Killer Liner and Killer Camo. And then I have a ColourPop one that is in the shade Two Can Do It, which is a gold. But I think I have so much gold on the lower lash line. I think I'm going to go with this. It's a green. It's like this really pretty army green. So I think I'm going to put that in my waterline. There we go. Very pretty. And now mascara, and I'm wondering if I should do, I just got the new I don't know if this is new, but the L'Oreal Paris Voluminous Brown Balm Mascara. I've been in the market for a new brown mascara, and I just got this one from Ulta, so I'm tempted to use this and see how it looks. And I feel like brown will look quite pretty with this, so yeah, let me throw this on and then I will be right back. All right, guys, I am back. I've applied the mascara. This is definitely has like a balm texture. I don't know how I feel about this yet. This is my first time trying it. It did build up, but I feel like it took me a little while to get it to where I wanted it. But I like the way it looks with these colors. I feel like the brown is like perfect for it. So, TBD. It's TBD on that one, you know. So let's talk about this palette. I need to play with the mattes more. Oh, I've gotten shimmer all over it. I need to play with the mattes more, but I The mattes feel to me like Natasha Denona mattes. Her mattes are incredibly pigmented. They're more pigmented when you pick them up with a brush than they may feel when you swatch them, or they look more pigmented on the eye than they look in the pan. And her creams, this cream I do feel like I had to build up a little bit more than I've had to with other shades of her cream to powder formula. And her cream to powder formula is one of my absolute favorite eyeshadow formulas. It's a formula that I'm very familiar with. I get along with it very well. I didn't struggle with this, but I did feel that way about the Calithia shade. Now the Fushi shade, which is also a cream to powder, I'm gonna try not to, which is also a cream to powder, I had no issues with. So it could just be this particular shade is meant to go on a little bit lighter than it looks in the pan, and that's fine. But let's talk about the true star of this palette, and I really do think it's the metallics. And usually for me, when it comes to Natasha, I'm all about her mattes and her cream to powders. Like, I'm all about the matte and cream powder shadows in her palettes. The metallics are nice. I've never had an issue with them, but that's not generally what I like come to the party for, you know? But I have to say, the metallics in this palette are probably the best metallics I've tried from Natasha Denona. And I've tried a lot of metallics from Natasha Denona. I own quite a few palettes from Natasha Denona. I've tried her metallics from way back when to her metallics to current, and I feel like these just feel different. They're got a bit more texture to them. They're flakier. They're more dimensional on the eye and in swatches. Like, they look very flat here in the pan, I think. But they do, as you can see, they do not swatch that way, and they do not apply that way on the eye or look that way on the eye. I just feel like they are absolutely stunning, and I am really excited to play with this palette more and pair more of the mattes with the metallics. I haven't tried these two yellow shades, Camu Camu and Citrine, and Tipu as well. I haven't tried, or these three rather. I haven't tried these yet. I'm always a bit suspicious of yellow shadows, and the reason for that is those are beautiful. They always let me down, and the reason why it's not necessarily the shadow's fault. The undertone of my skin is a slightly yellow golden undertone, so when yellow is applied to my eyes a lot of the time, it just fades into my skin. So I'm always struggling to find like a yellow that will show up for me. So I'm gonna play with these and see if they do. I didn't want to struggle right now. Not at 8 o'clock at night on a Friday. I didn't want to struggle. So I was like, we're gonna move away from those, but I still wanted to use the shadows that really caught my eye, which is definitely like Acacia and Calithia. Those are, and then of course these amazing metallics. And of course I also need to play with the brown flax, of course. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna play with this more. I'm really excited for this palette. My birthday is next week, and I feel like Natasha released this for my birthday. So thank you, Natasha. Thank you. Now let's get into a comparison, because a lot of people are saying that this is the new gold palette, and I kind of agree to a certain extent. So this is the amazing, beautiful gold palette. This is one of her larger palettes. This is one of the 129 doll hair palettes. This was the first 129 doll hair palette from Natasha Denona that I ever purchased. How stunning is she? So let's just do a little comparison. Let me show you both of these really quickly. Okay, so let me zoom you out so you can see what I mean here. So this is what we're working with. I think, and I'm digging my hand into my mat here, my Aria mat, so my finger is like covered in brown, but that's okay. That's okay. It's still good, and it's not even dented. It's amazing. I love this palette. I think that this is her answer to the gold palette, and I do think that the gold palette is eventually going to just go away for real, for real. I think she brought it back for one final hurrah, but I think that this palette is on its way out, and I think this is her answer. This is her updated 2023 gold palette. And honestly, guys, I'm not mad at that. I think this is a more interesting color story overall. Like, I love the gold palette, don't get me wrong. That palette is a banger. It is so versatile. It's way more versatile than you would think for something called a gold palette with, you know, all of these gold metallics. But it's also just a really beautiful neutral palette with pops, you know. And so for me, I can create everyday looks. I did it for work last week. You can create everyday looks with this palette very easily, or you can go really bold and gold and, you know, stunning, dramatic editorial eye very easily. This is an incredibly well thought out palette, even though it looks very, I think a lot of people were kind of disappointed when this came out. And I remember when this came out, people were disappointed that it had so many browns in it, and they were like, why do we need all those browns? Guys, none of these look the same on the eye. None of them look the same on the eye. None of them. Not near a single one. They are so slightly different in tone that it makes it worth it to have this and have all these neutral tones in here. And they all have that grungy yellow base, which is what makes them interesting, which is what this palette is all about. I mean, look at this. This is nothing but grungy yellow base. But she's thrown in some other options. She's thrown in these oranges, and she's thrown in these, you know, she had the teal in that one, but she's giving you like slightly different teals. This one's more of like a greeny green, and this one's more of like a blue base teal. You have these beautiful actual yellows and not just like yellow base neutrals. She's giving you actual yellows along with yellow base neutrals, you know, and sort of grungy, slightly like army greens, and then of course a brown. But then she's giving you these amazing dimensional metallics. And this one is only 69 doll hairs compared to this one being 129. So I think this is an updated version of this one, and I think it's all the better for it. I think this is probably her best color story that she's done in a really long time. The last two Natasha Denona palettes I purchased was the My Dream palette, which I love, and the Retrogram palette, which I didn't love. And the My Dream palette I actually really like. I think it's a beautiful palette, but I don't think it was her most creative color story wise. I don't think it was the most innovative color story wise. And one of the things that I've always loved about Natasha's palettes, Natasha's eye is her eye for color stories and color arrangement. And it's good to see her kind of get back to that with a palette like this. This is sort of what I fell in love with Natasha Denona. So yeah, I personally, again, this is a first impression. I can't, you know, tell you how this will wear or any of that good stuff, but I wanted to get on camera and show you guys what this looked like, especially what it looked like on someone of my skin tone. If you are of my skin tone and you are interested in this palette and you wanted to see how these tones played on our skin, this is what it looks like. I am very excited about playing with this palette more. I think there have been a couple of palettes. This is not the first palette I've purchased this week. And if you guys remember, I said in like a recent video that I wasn't really feeling buying more eyeshadow palettes, and I wasn't. And then like within a week, there were like 2 or 3 palettes really like previewed and released that I was just like, oh my God. And that was actually very exciting because I haven't been excited about palettes like that in a while. But they all are a variation on a theme, and we're going to get into that, you know, when I review that other palette. But sad that I'm going to have to take this off because it is, what time is it? It is almost 8 p.m., not 8 a.m., 8 p.m. And I am going to be getting into bed soon because I have to be up super early for work. So this will not be lasting on my eyes. I may walk around with it a little bit, may eat some dinner, a late dinner with it on so that I can enjoy it. But I might just repeat it and redo it for work tomorrow because I am kind of high-key in love with how this is on my eye. And yeah, guys, I would say if you were interested in the gold palette, but the price tag was stopping you, I think this is a great alternative to that. And I do think that the gold is probably going to go away now. I think this is like her transitioning away from the gold palette. If you enjoyed today's video, guys, please be sure to hit the like button, and I will see you in the next one. Bye now.